The morning after the night before, Anthony Joshua last night knocked out Francis Ngannou in 2 rounds. Actually knocked him into orbit. That may be the best knockout of Anthony Joshua's career that he's been able to give. He's had a couple of good knockouts. That might be, in fact, it probably is the best out of them all. Really big highlight reel knockout. And Anthony Joshua this time last year, it's a far cry from where he is today. Now, of course, he's not a world champion as of yet, or he's not a 3-time world champion as of yet. But compared to where he was about this time last year, was actually roughly April last year against Jermaine Franklin in a fight which he didn't particularly look good. He seems a different character, certainly from the mental aspect. He seems to have a lot more confidence in himself. You could see it in the build-up to this fight. In the face-off that they did back in January, that was when it was recorded, he seemed to just have the demeanour of a man who was like, you know what, I'm in a good place. I think he's actually happy in his training setup. He obviously spoke with Darren Barker that he's actually still in contact with Derek James, and he's got a lot of respect for Derek James. He's just not willing to base himself in the US. So he wants to be, and this is what I like to hear, he said he wants to be an active fighter. He wants to be active, and that would mean basing himself in the US, because obviously that's where his training camps would be, because Derek James, he's not going to base himself in the UK. That's where he was able to get in touch with Ben Davison, and he seems to be very, very happy under the tutelage of Ben Davison. In terms of recent performances, like I said, against Otto Wallin, honestly, that was brilliant. That was a really, really good performance. And he went into this fight, and Joshua has probably made the easiest mega payday, because he's obviously got paid millions and millions for this fight, that he ever could have made. And all he needed to do, really, was just stick to basics, do what you've always done, do what you're good at, and that's what he did. And he made easy work of a guy that his contemporary, Tyson Fury, made hard work of. In terms of what happens next, I mean, you could argue what happens next for both guys. I would say Ngannou was going to go PFL. I would say that him in boxing, after that, it's done. I wouldn't imagine he's going to be in boxing. I wouldn't imagine there's going to be much demand for him, because getting knocked out like that against Anthony Joshua, against Tyson Fury, a lot of people felt, I didn't feel that way, but a lot of people felt that he beat Tyson Fury. So off the back of that performance, a lot of people were looking, we want to fight Francis Ngannou. And off the bat, a lot of promoters and people like Turki Al Sheikh, His Excellency, were willing to put up the money for that. Now after that, I don't think they will. I think PFL is his next stop. Maybe back to the UFC at some point, but for now, for Francis Ngannou, PFL is probably his next stop. And to be fair to Francis Ngannou, I love the fact that he was able to leave Dana White, considering everything he's come from, all the stuff that's gone on back years ago, all the trials and tribulations he went through, to be able to make 2 mega paydays and not have to worry about will the UFC take this or whatever. It's all his. So I like what he's done. He's had 2 big fights, both in Saudi. He's made an absolute fortune. Happy for him. In terms of Anthony Joshua, that performance right there against Ngannou, yes, it was good. I did expect a more cagey Joshua, to be fair, but he didn't. He as soon as he realised, okay, I can land this right hand, it was over. In terms of what he does next, now, a lot of people are calling for AJ Fury. And I'm just like, the elephant in the room, people, Alexander Usyk. And online I've seen fans just say that, look, just let's get AJ versus Fury. It's like, again, elephant in the living room here, right? There are a lot of people who want to see Undisputed, who have wanted to see Undisputed for years and years and years. Well, it's set for May, right? It obviously should have happened February, but it's set for May as it stands. And I want to see Undisputed more than anything else. And for me, it would also be a kick in the teeth if you had people who really wanted to see Undisputed and really, I'll say it, who were really adamant that Fury is the one ducking Alexander Usyk, and then come out and say, actually, do you know what, just don't fight Usyk, just fight Joshua. Because it's like, hang on a minute, what? No. He needs to fight Alexander Usyk. That fight is in May. We need to see an Undisputed. Apparently it's a 2-way rematch. We'll see how that goes. If it's a competitive fight, we'll see what happens. So it basically means that Joshua, although he's probably looking, at the winner of Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, more than likely this year, I would imagine, unless like the fight is completely one-sided and say Alexander Usyk's favour, and Tyson Fury just decides, you know what, I don't have it anymore, let's sail off into the sunset, Then, yeah, we might see Joshua versus Usyk 3. We might see Joshua versus Fury this year. But I doubt we will. I think if they've got a two-way rematch, it's going to be probably this year. It might even drag its feet into next year. You wouldn't know. So then it comes to the point, what does Joshua do next? Because Joshua spoke about activity. And activity is a big thing, and I think that that's one of the things that really has helped him over the last 12 months is the fact that this is his fourth fight in less than a year. It's very seldom you see, certainly fighters of his level, in terms of the money they make, excuse me, in terms of the money they make, fight more than once or twice a year. And from 2019, he fought twice in 2019, once in 2020, once in 21, and once in 22. So a 3-year stretch with Joshua where he's only fighting once a year. Last year, 3 fights. This year, we're only in March, and he's already had a fight. So I think the activity is a big thing, and I think he's going to continue it. The question is that what does he do? Who does he fight? If he is looking to be active, if he is looking to, just tick over but have big fights, it's not going to be small names, I would imagine. I would imagine that maybe Team Joshua, Eddie Hearn are looking at maybe Dylan White, could be looking at a Parker rematch, could be looking at Filip Hrgovic. All those fights are good fights for Anthony Joshua, and I think that the way he's been looking now, certainly against Dylan White, I'd pick him. I would pick him over Joseph Parker, and at this point, yeah, I would pick him over Filip Hrgovic. I think that Joshua, at this stage in his career, bear in mind, he is 34 years old. He looked, I don't want to say he looked defeated this time last year, but it just looked like, how is he gonna come back from this? But he has. Certainly from the looks of things, it looks like he has. I've heard people say that Joshua's best years are ahead of him. And that could very well be the case. At the end of the day, right, Fury Usyk, whenever that fight happens, the winner won't be undisputed for long. Because there will be mandatories coming. The sanctioning bodies have been very lenient. And some of those belts will get fragmented. So, do I think Joshua will pick one up? Yeah, I do. I do think he'll pick one up. I think if he fought Hrgovic for a vacant IBF, there you go. I think that he definitely has a lot left in the tank, and he could be making a run. Because when I look at some of the up-and-comers, some of them are a way off. You've got the likes of Jared Anderson, who has his own problems. Moses Helmet is a couple of years off. But then you look at the guys like Bakir Jalilov and people like that, Daniel Dubois, and you're thinking, could be interesting. So I think Joshua has a lot still left to offer the heavyweight division. I think that, again, lately he's been looking very good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. In terms of next move, in terms of who he fights, I've heard Dylan White be mentioned. I think that, again, that's a bit of a liability, considering the fact that Dylan White, was happened once, it can happen again. Fight week of all weeks, it happens, where you fail a PED test or have an adverse analytical finding, and then you're scrambling looking for who can we get, Robert Hellenius, there you go. So, yeah, I'm sure Eddie Hearn would be looking at that thinking, what do I do there? But saying that, we don't know what the Saudis could have in mind. Eddie Hearn, Joshua could be like, no, we'll take Dylan White. His Excellence could be like, no, you're not. I want to see Ewan Parker, who I have to do a review on, because I thought that he came through a big scare against Zhilei Zhang. And again, I'll talk about Parker in a separate video, because what a resume he's starting to build himself. I'll leave it there. Joshua, in terms of what I think happens from here, I'm looking forward to it. I think he's getting better and better. He really is. He's looking at it anyway. Looking more confident, and that kind of win is just going to do wonders for his career. And again, you got to bear in mind, he's going to be loving the fact that Fury went the distance, got cut bad against Oliver Lean. Joshua, easy work. Went in there against Ngannou. Fury got dropped, went the distance. Some people feel he lost. Went in there, I knocked him out cold. Joshua is getting a bedrock of confidence building up now. And that's what he needs. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. I will leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could, and subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And for now, I'll leave it there. Boxing today, it seems like there's news breaking every single day. There's fights being announced almost every day. Big fights at that. Boxing's in a good place. And sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I find it a little bit difficult at times just to stay on top of everything, between checking Twitter, checking boxing scene, going on BoxRec to see if there's anything announced. There's a lot to look for. There's a lot of platforms you need to go on. And if you look down on screen, you'll see today's sponsors, Boxing Showtimes. They've made an app that does it all for you.
Look at that on screen. It shows you where you can get tickets. It gives you all the latest news. It gives you the tail of the tape. It gives you all the card details. It's going to give you details about Fury Usyk. It's going to give you details about Joshua Ngannou. It's also going to have a lot more little things thrown in there as well. The link is in the comment section. It's going to be pinned on this video and more besides soon enough. And not only that, in the comment section, there's also going to be a link, a G-Man promo, which means you can access a little bit more without ads. Now that, to quote Eddie Hearn, is a game changer. Now let's crack on with the video.